And welcome to Inside Ogden. We're just congratulating Vincent Francis and his wife Taylor. They're pregnant, going to have a baby end of October, November, and Ogden community continues to grow.
That's right.
We are sitting here. This is your show, so here's the number to call in. And we hope you have some questions today because we have a topic that I think will probably bring a lot of questions, and that's the pending retirement from office of Mayor Matthew Godfrey. It is 801-629-8411. We are always joined by the mayor. Today we're also joined by Chris Olson of Olson Homes. Welcome to the show.
Hey, it's great to be here. Watch the show often, and it's real good to be here.
That's how we choose our guests, the ones who watch most often now. And there's like a prize sweepstakes thing to come sit next to you and be on the show.
There's like 8 people to choose from.
Well, 6 this month, but
6.
it was a little slow,
Yeah.
coming into February. People were still kind of cold, but
We were off our game last month.
and it was a recorded show, and people were a little upset at us for not being live.
That's true.
But Chris is here. We're going to talk about the housing market, where it's been, where we hope it's going, because anything good in the housing market's a great indicator for the overall economy.
Yeah.
But we have to today start, Mayor, with your announcement this morning that this is your last go-around, and come November, you'll say goodbye, and somebody else will step in.
Yeah.
What goes into that thought process besides you and your wife?
That's mainly it. There was a host of things that mattered. One was, is Ogden at a point where we feel like we've done what we can do, and do we really have something to contribute that's meaningful? And as we went through and looked at what we set out to do and where we're at today, we kind of accomplished the things that we set out to do. And so part of it was that. From the city perspective, we have an incredible team here at the city. Good things are going to happen whether or not I'm here in office. So we have a clear vision and people who can carry out that vision. So this felt like I need to go on to other adventures and challenges, and here, and whoever the next mayor is, I'm just absolutely convinced that great things will continue to occur in this community. And then part of it clearly is personal. I've been doing this a long time now, longer than any mayor except Lauren Farr, who didn't really have an election. He was drafted into being mayor essentially. And
that's why I propose an activity in the church, because you go to church, you become mayor.
That's the way it used to work. Yeah.
That's the way it used to work here in Ogden.
You had to be careful.
Who's at church? You're mayor.
Yeah.
You take care of the garbage.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was approved every year, and in a priesthood meeting, he was re-upped for another term as mayor. So, yeah, that's a lot easier election process than what you have to go through today. So, certainly I have to think about my future, and I probably need to earn money and do something different for my family as well. So all those factors came together.
Your schooling, that's all financial, isn't it? Not
Business.
CPA, business.
Yeah,
And
business. Yeah, but it was the finance. I've never done that really, and I've always been, for very short periods of time, I have done things that were related to finance, but most of my career has been in management.
And so when you were that whopping 28-year-old youngster, thinking about your life ahead, and you decided on politics, what were you working at the time? What was your day job at the time?
I owned my own company. I had a real estate holding and management company, and so I was developing Ogden, I guess, in my own way.
Okay.
And that actually became very helpful here in office. I have the knowledge of buying properties and developing them, and understanding the financials behind that has been really beneficial.
Well, as we stood here this morning at 11 o'clock, there were several folks behind you and one alongside. The guys behind form a formidable team for Ogden City, and you basically said this morning, told the media, and everybody came, that these folks could do battle with not only any city, but probably any corporation in America, because they are so talented. You don't make this kind of advancements in the city of Ogden with what's happened as far as its rebirth and the Renaissance without the folks that were standing next and behind you this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very, very capable group of people. Government employees a lot of times will have a reputation of, being factory workers, clocking in on time and getting out on time, and that's what they do, and not being terribly productive during the day. And that exists. We've dealt with a lot of that, and so we know that does exist, even in our area. But the people we have working, leading the city, are really, really amazing, talented, hardworking people who have know how to make things happen, and they have teams underneath them that are very, very good. And I was just saying, if you come here at 6 at night, and if you're one of the salaried people, they're here working. And on Saturdays, it's not uncommon to come here on Saturdays and find various people here working on projects to get them done. I get emails all the time, 10, 11, 12 at night, and then again at 6:37 in the morning. So
Sorry, my bad.
yeah.
I'll try to
So
stop.
along with you, the rest of them are.
Somebody else does it too.
Yeah, people are just working. And it's because we're passionate about what we're doing. We believe in this town and are excited to see things happening. And so you just work until the job's done.
Well, Bill, if we could, let's go to the first slide of the PowerPoint today, because you talked about the goals and objectives that you had in mind 12 years ago, 11 and a half years ago. And so I want people to basically understand what those goals were and why you think and where we are as a city.
Yeah. First of all, we believe we had to rebrand the community. Ogden was known as the old railroad town and did not have a good reputation along the Wasatch Front or anywhere. I think even internally here, people didn't have a real sense of identity in terms of who Ogden was. So rebrand the community. We wanted to recruit 2,000 jobs to the downtown area and 2,000 residents downtown. We hadn't had a residential property built in Ogden in over 100 years, and we need people living back in the urban core for us to be successful. We wanted to recruit 5,000 jobs into the city of Ogden as a whole, and then facilitate $500 million of private investment, which was probably the scariest one. That's a big number. And
how did you come on that number 11 years ago?
We picked it out. I mean, we started to see, we knew that would have to be, we knew the mass of building that would have to encompass for us to achieve it, and figured that at $500 million we would be able to have a large-scale redevelopment of the downtown. We knew there had to be enough momentum to carry it forward, because there was so many properties that were dilapidated in downtown. I don't know if people remember that if we had 2 junkyards in our downtown. We had razor wire fencing in the downtown, barbed wire. I mean, properties that had been vacant for decades. They're buildings that I never saw my entire life growing up here, never saw them occupied. So there was tremendous amounts of redevelopment to happen, and we knew at $500 million we would have taken a big dent out of that. But it was basically just kind of a guess at the scale needed to make the downtown turn around.
And that's a nice transition to bring Chris in for the first time, because you and your family were living here, and because of some of the conditions that existed, you moved away.
Absolutely. We had an office down actually on 25th Street. It's been, I remember growing up, it was C.F. Olson Homes, is, my dad, he had right next to, Kokomo down there, and grew up going down there, and it's probably about 20 years ago, and just kind of got a little bit rough. And I remember the conversations of my dad and my mom had, and saying, hey, we've got to move the business elsewhere, just getting a little bit rough. But unique thing about it is it kind of came full circle, and about 2 years ago we kind of started looking at needing to relocate from Layton area to come, and saw a lot of the things that Mayor Godfrey had been doing, and the progress and just the amazing things that are happening and are going to happen, and said we got to get back involved. And so we came down. We've got our our design studio down here now, as well as our cabinet division out in West Ogden. So really just a lot of neat things, and wanted to get involved with them.
And so the company's here now. How many employees do you have, and what kind of construction are you doing? And then we'll also get into the cabinetry and those types of things.
We've got 4 of us in the company. We've got myself, we've got a designer in our office, and then we've got 3 guys that are out in the field that kind of really oversee and kind of manage all the projects we've got. Primarily, we do a lot of residential construction. We do have a commercial wing that we do a lot of stuff for the LDS Church and a lot of different projects, mostly down south, Salt Lake, Provo, and that, but primarily a lot of residential stuff. And so really kind of take the custom approach with our design studio here. We've really set it up to be able to have a homeowner come in and be able to really sit down with our design team and design their house. So many people walk into Home Depot and walk into all these different businesses, and they say, God, where do I start? How do I pick the carpet, and then how do I match them up with my countertops? Well, we've brought all those things together so that people can really map out that house and see it on the countertop and say, you know what, go, this is what our house is going to look like. And you look up at the screen and they say, you know what, that is our floor plan, that is our house, and let's build it. Let's move forward.
Wouldn't it be easier for you guys just to have some type of templated what are paperboard type cutout houses to do because you don't have to custom make anything for anybody?
Oh, it would, but I think as you guys know, I mean, today's market, a lot of people just really, if you're going to spend the $200,000, $300,000, and even $100,000 on home, people really want to get exactly what they need. They need the 3 bedrooms for their 3 kids. They need the 6 bedrooms, whatever it is. They need that bigger laundry room so that they can handle all the laundry that comes with kids, or the home office downstairs. We've got to be able to tailor our business to be able to help the working family today.
And so where have you found, not most profitable, but where are folks building in Ogden these days?
Surprisingly, it's been a lot on the bench, but we've actually kind of got a lot of possibilities downtown Ogden. I think the Own in Ogden grant has really spruced up a lot of attraction to the Ogden area, and really kind of looking at different possibilities of being able to build a little bit closer to town. I think there's a lot more appeal with the new temple projects and a lot of the stuff coming in recreation-wise, and people wanting to be a little bit closer to town. And so we're really excited to with being a part of the community, not only moving our offices, but to get involved a little bit down here and to be able to possibly build some homes down here.
And that has to make you happy again. I mean, a lot of things happening, but that's a good gauge for what's happening in the city as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. Our belief was, once again, going back to the beginning, that if we could make downtown vibrant and exciting, people would once again want to live by the downtown. That's how these neighborhoods developed, 100 years ago, and so we've tried to really stay focused in the urban core because our belief was it would bleed over to the neighborhood. So it's really good to hear you saying that you're seeing that trend now as well.
Definitely.
And then you also have, not only that, you have the folks remodeling, like inside the Ben Lomond, for example. Yes. I know they have 80 rooms, and they're doing that slowly and that type of thing. But that's also a good indication that more people are coming down and living downtown. When you talk about condominium type living, and I know Salt Lake's struggling a little bit with the condominiums downtown. They started with a price here, and they had to come way down on where they are. Did we do a lot of research there to say, yeah, we are going to put residential opportunities downtown, and we need to be here? And did you do that the same as you started to build your residences? And I don't know what kind of residences they are downtown.
Yeah, to some degree. The challenge we've had, because there wasn't a housing product built in downtown for 100 years, there was no comparables. So there's no way to say this is what the value of a downtown property should be. And so we were stabbing at our first ones. We just said, well, here throughout, the developer rather threw out a price point. And the first units actually struggled. They were townhomes, and they sold them for $119,000 was the price point. And they really struggled. Well, and the development was actually taken over by a new investor that came in and took over the project, and they raised it. They took it from $119 to $149 and sold them all out. So there is something to the price point, and what we've discovered is that people, when they come to downtown, getting back to your point, they have a very specific product in mind. They want a certain lifestyle, and they're expecting it at a certain level, and it's a little more expensive than what you see in the rural, more traditional markets. And
it's a beautiful downtown now.
Yeah, it's getting there.
Bill, can we throw another next slide up there if we can, because I want Mayor to be able to walk through the accomplishments of where he's been, and I know we'll keep taking Bill by surprise when we do this, but that's okay. That's why.
I think the last one on the list that we didn't get to was the
on the goal list.
The okay. Taxes and
that's right. You wanted to lower taxes.
Lower taxes and then dramatically reduce crime were the last two things that we wanted to accomplish. So then getting to the next slide, the rebranding of Ogden really started with we took several approaches early on to try to make this happen, but the one that ended up holding and working the best was rebranding us as this outdoor high adventure recreation community by bringing in the outdoor industry. So we now have more ski companies in Ogden than any other city in the country and very possibly the world. So that and the media attention that brought us, which is the second one, that we received dozens of national rankings and recognition as this outdoor capital. I say dozens. We actually have a book. It's hundreds.
It's over 300.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It used to be a big deal. People would say, "Did you know Ogden was in the New York Times?" We're like, we were.
National Geographic.
Yeah, we were putting it up on the wall, and somebody told me last week, "Did you see you were in New York Times?" And I said, "Oh no, we didn't see that one." I mean, we didn't even go after it. We didn't, because it's the fourth or fifth one that publication has done on Ogden. So we're really, really fortunate, because that kind of media attention helped the people along the Wasatch Front view Ogden differently, and ourselves. I think we started looking at the outside world's perspective about our community and started to say, I guess this is a real outdoor gem, and so it's helped transition the interview of our community. So I think the branding of the community has really taken shape, and the last.
We have to talk about the marathon.
Yeah, the last one.
Not only because you're a runner.
And that is probably why I started it. When I was a brand new mayor, I called in our special events coordinator and said, let's do an Ogden Marathon. I think there's need for another marathon in Utah, and it was very small. When we started out, there were a few hundred runners at the first one, and it was kind of a sorry event. But it was a beautiful course, and we knew it would grow, and we'd get better at it. And sure enough, this last year, it was ranked as one of the top 10 marathons in the country. So
and sold out.
Sold out. Yeah, sold out last year and
sold out months ago.
Yeah.
Everyone, we had to sign up at Xterra. I mean, what's that? Almost a year before.
Yeah.
And it was not sold out.
Well, if you want to get in for next year, can you even get in for?
They haven't opened it up for next year yet.
Okay.
So when they open it up, it'll sell out probably within a day or two this year, I'd guess. So that's been popular. And then we recruited in other events like Xterra. We got Xterra as a point series race, which is they have dozens of, if not more than dozens across the country. And we got that, and within 2 years they moved I think within a year they moved their regional championship here, and then 2 years later moved their national championships to Ogden. So we now host the Xterra Off-Road Triathlon National Championships, and this year they just announced that we will have the trail running national championship here also. And then Dew Tour 2 years ago brought the Dew Tour here to our community because another community declined it, is what we found out is how it happened. And then
not east of Salt Lake.
Yes.
Oh,
as it happens. Yeah.
Okay.
And then after a year, after their first year here, the experience was so good. They said they had more people and more fun. The athletes had a better experience here than they had anywhere across the country, and so they moved their national championship Dew Tour this year to Ogden, and it was a huge activity in downtown and party, and the athletes just had a spectacular time. So we've been very fortunate in having success in these events, and there's actually more that we'll be announcing. We have other really big events that are coming to our community, so that's also helped in the rebranding.
Oh, that's fantastic. Again, this is your show, so we'd love to hear from you, and if you have any questions, please pick up the phone and give the mayor a call, 801-629-8411. And if not, then we'll just continue to review the goals from 12 years ago that were set and where we are today, intermingled with housing market economic indicators. And so we'll go back to Chris for just a second. Chris is with CF Olson Homes. I said Olson Homes earlier, I apologize. What were your conditions a year and a half, 2 years ago, and how did your company survive that? And the word is still that Utah's somewhat down, but you could tell us where we are. You're right on top of that.
I think the unique thing is there was definitely a lot of adjustment. I think a lot of people say the market crashed and horrible. It's always dipped, and it's been kind of just dabbling down at the bottom. But I think the readjustment period, I think, is what we've seen is a lot of homes, instead of 2 years ago, every home that we built was 250 to 500,000. There was a 250 plus where today it's 150 to 300 max. And so a lot of people, it's more focused on the bang for the buck. We need to have the 6 bedrooms. We need to have the 3 bedrooms and this, and we've got to have the great room and the kitchen that is perfect. And so a lot of emphasis on design nowadays is when people come into our office, they're not only just going and looking for the biggest and the best in the neighborhood. I think there's a lot more kind of people coming in saying, well, what's best for our family? We got to look at the dollars. We got to look at the economy. What can we do? And so that's really where I think CF Olson Homes really shines, is being able to design that home to exactly what they need versus having to pick one of the 6 model homes out there that you have to choose from.
Interest rates are low, but bank money's still a little bit tight, so there's kind of a conundrum there for the person looking to change homes. But it still has to be considered a buyer's market, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And the unique thing with building homes is land prices down. yes, building costs are down, all that thing are down, and so that the building, is definitely still a very viable, source to be able to get a home in the community with land prices down and building costs down. It's very close. I'm surprised. I have people every day say, well, God, building's a lot more affordable than I thought. I thought we were going to have to pay more than that foreclosure or that short sale, when really with land prices as low as they are, people are able to get into that house for darn close to what a foreclosure is nowadays.
Which speaks amazingly to what's transition-wise to what's happened here. With the tough economics outside, still to bring this amount of business here over the last 11 and a half years or so is almost miracle-ish, isn't it?
Oh yeah, we do. We really do feel really blessed, very fortunate to have what we've had come in here. In the last year, 2010, we recruited over 2,000 jobs to Ogden.
Yeah.
The state of Utah during that same year reported that they recruited 4,000 jobs into the state. So we did half of what the state did in 2010 in terms of job recruiting. So it has been very remarkable, not just in that front, but in the development. We've talked many times about the river project, and we have 3 developers who are chomping at the bit to move forward with the river project right now in this down economy, with lending being very tight. So we have been able to kind of buck the trend to some degree.
And that the river and everything fits right into what's been happening downtown, as you talked about again today, populating downtown.
Yeah. Our goal was 2,000 jobs, and with the projects that you see there, and these are actually the names of the buildings and not the companies that have come to downtown, but we've recruited, with the projects that are under construction currently, we will have about 4,000 jobs we've recruited to the downtown area. And the housing units that you see there and the ones that are under construction will bring us to that $2,000 mark. So we've hit those easily on the job front. Here are the 5,000 that we're going to bring into town. We've exceeded. We've done about 9,000 total, and that includes the ones that we recruited into downtown. So there's a little bit of double counting in there. In terms of total jobs.
You're in government, that's what you do. Double count. Especially when you're talking about, no, the IRS was on, well, they even had an expansion project.
We brought them too.
Brought them too, double count, triple count them. They're 3 and 4 deduction value for us.
So those are some of the companies we brought in. There's a host more. Private investment, we've had over $1.2 billion of private investment into our community. Our goal was $500 million.
And we talked about that. That's an incredible number.
It really is.
That's people believing.
Yeah. When I took office, the total valuation of the city property, so all 27 square acres, was $2 billion. So we've recruited in almost we've had almost as much investment as was the value of the city in the year 2000. So that's a pretty big deal. And then we have about $500 million in approved projects that's currently underway. So over the next 5 years, 7 years, you'll see another $500 million come into the projects that we've approved. So that's a remarkable influx of money from the private sector.
Bill, I don't know if, let's go back to the last one again if we can, if you still have up, just to make sure we cover these things, and then we'll go on to the next.
The other is in terms of the acres that we've redeveloped downtown. We've finished about 107 acres in the downtown area. We have 10-acre blocks, so almost 11 full acres have been redeveloped in the downtown area. 96 acres are currently under development. So when you add that all together, Salt Lake is talking a lot about the massive redevelopment in their urban core, and they do have a lot going on, but we far exceed what they've had happen in their downtown area, and we had more to do certainly than they had. Over 1 million square feet of new office space in downtown, and that includes 500,000 square feet of historic buildings. So that is a big deal. So these are typically fairly high-paying jobs that are coming right to our urban core once again. And it's in a pretty challenging environment. We've had 3 recessions since I've been in office, and my first few years here, of course, with September 11th, we just came out of one, and a little one when I was first in office, and then we had, of course, September 11th, and that dipped us down again, and then, of course, this one, which is far bigger. So it has not been. We had a few years where the economy was good, but it's not been a terribly robust economic environment to push some of these forward. The 90s was really the year to do these projects. That's when the economy was roaring. It would have been nice to have had some of these going then.
Chris, as a small business, and you look at what's happening, and you, like you say, a couple of years ago, you decided, hey, there's so much happening in Ogden. We have to get back in and take part of this game, or you're conspicuous by your absence almost. With all the businesses coming into downtown, that obviously creates a new buying environment for people in your business. Have you seen that?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
What do numbers show for you year to date? I don't want to get too personal for you or anything
I think
like that.
the one thing that we see a lot of. I mean, I can't even count how many Amir Sports employees that we've met with, and various people that are connected in some form or another, and then inquiries on our website. A lot of people from out of state, out of Salt Lake way, looking to be up this direction a little bit farther, bringing their businesses up this direction. And so I think all around, by Ogden City and the growth of this, I think we're seeing the more people are interested in moving here, and in turn are interested in saying, hey, who's a local builder that can help my family, and I think that's where we're seeing the most growth is a lot of inquiries and a lot of people catching the kind of the feeling that we had of, God, we need to get involved with this because it's such a neat opportunity to be involved with the growth here, and we want to be up close to it. So the growth, I mean, it's the last 2 years, and I think that's, you brought up the downturn, and if we're not in it, and I think that's the one thing we saw is everybody knows with a downturn there's always an upturn that usually follows. And
at least we hope there is.
Yeah, at least we hope, and the years have passed have shown that it has. And so if we're here, developed into the community and integrated and be ready for that time to start going, I believe we've already started to slowly see that.
What is your website, by the way?
cfolsonhomes.com.
And that's EN.
Yes, EN.
Okay.
So CF.
Okay. And by the way, I didn't even know, 28 years now in the Ogden area combined?
28 years in the Ogden area. Now, obviously, family business, kind of born and raised, swinging the hammer, picking up garbage, and have since kind of taken the reins of it and been able to really kind of roll with it the last couple of years.
Well, that's fine. We're not done yet. So I'll think of another question for it in a second as I turn back to the mayor. But I want to continue to go through your goals here because I obviously want to get through into some crime statistics and that type of thing, which brings people and businesses like the Olsons back into the community. So if we can go to the next one, crime and taxes. There you go.
Yeah. The crime has come down very significantly. We're 8th to 10th in the state typically, and it floats obviously based on the year and what happens with us and other communities.
How big of a city do you have to be to qualify for a crime statistic? Because we're not, we're talking price, carbon, even smaller than carbon, or when do you qualify to be registered as far as those numbers go?
They will go pretty small. These are numbers. These are Part 1 crimes, and the FBI tracks them. So what happens is you gather your police statistics and then you send them into the FBI, and the FBI actually reviews them. And they will change your numbers. They'll say, we don't think this counts as a crime, and so they and add others that you don't think should be in there, and so they actually try to do it to standardize it, so there's some uniformity to it. So they can be fairly small cities in the numbers. Most of them are ones that we all recognize. You'll see the smaller ones typically have fairly low crime numbers.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. And then there was the taxes.
Yeah, so crime has gone down significantly, and we've talked many times about that. The city closest to Ogden in crime rate is Taylorsville. And then we've lowered taxes 3 times. Somehow people never remember that. Never had anybody come up and say, thank you for lowering my taxes. And it's partly because the property tax is so confusing. It goes up and down every year, and when you get your bill, and it's asking for more money this year than last year, naturally we're assuming that they raise your taxes.
Yeah.
When in fact it's because of a change in valuation and a host of other things. It's very complicated. But
a guarantee is in there too, that they have to get at least the tax level from the year before.
Exactly.
Which makes it a problem for cities trying to lower their portion of the tax.
Yeah. So they come to the city and say, this is how much money you received last year. Do you want to receive less or more this year or the same? And that's how it works. To us, they come in and then we say, yes, we want to lower taxes by this much, and then they take that out. So we have, promise you, we have lowered them 3 separate times. A couple of them were fairly significant, and one of them wasn't a huge number, but it was one of them. We actually did it 4 times, but one of them was so small that I'm not even going to mention it. So anyway, 3 that were big enough to count.
That's not a true politician. Somebody would have said 4 and maybe at 4.5 or something like that. Do we have another one, Bill, or was that the last one? I can't remember. I should have paid closer attention to this.
So, I ran through this list and, with some trepidation because it just seems like I'm bragging. But the reason that I wanted to go through that list is, and when we had the announcement this morning, we had all of the directors from the city standing with me there. And it's not me, obviously, that's doing all this. It's an incredible group of people at the city. We have just a remarkable group, as I've mentioned. I hope not too much here, but it's true. A great, great group that has made all this happen, and they're in place today. We have existing projects, and I've talked about that to some degree, and more that aren't on the that are just on the drawing boards that haven't come out yet because we're still trying to put the pieces together. So Ogden will continue to grow and redefine ourselves as this outdoor mecca, and everybody's bought into that vision. I think not just within the city administration, but I think the community has as well. Crime is going to continue to go down. We'll keep innovating and finding new ways to lower crime and be successful on that front.
Viper takes off here shortly.
That's right. We hope to, in the next next month maybe, or in 2 months, we'll talk about Viper, let people know what's happening.
The acronym for the blimp, which is an acronym for that helium thing, but it's not helium.
It is, actually.
Oh, it is helium.
Yeah, it's
okay.
going to be helium.
Okay.
Yeah, Viper's like helium.
Different ways to fight crime. Couple more questions about the housing market. Where do you see us going? What are your indicators showing you?
Well, I think just taking a look at CF Olson Homes, I think we feel confident enough that we wanted to open up an office downtown Ogden. We wanted to bring our cabinet division to West Ogden. We are developing and being able to, really expand our business so that we are ready for that upturn. And I firmly believe that the upturn is started to come, and that we feel extremely confident with putting spec homes into the community. Our design studio, as you see there, lot of things that we've been able to kind of implement and bring in for our homeowners to be able to really show that, hey, we are confident this market will continue to move forward, and we're confident enough that we want to open up this new facility downtown Ogden and join the redevelopment of Ogden.
And when Chris showed up today, the first thing Bill Francis said was, "Got to redo my kitchen."
Absolutely. It's just like that. I think that's one thing that you ask, kind of what has the business been. Yeah. I've been surprised the last year and a half. It's kind of has taken a turn where I would think 50 to 60% of our business is remodeling now. A lot of people coming in and saying, "God, we're in this house. We might be buried just a little bit, but what can we do to make this house a little bit more livable for us? Can we add on? Can we get that fifth bedroom? Can we get that updated kitchen?" And absolutely, we were able to facilitate that strictly because of that design studio and being able to really kind of sit down in the design process and make them happen.
Well, it's another great Utah company. It's another great Ogden, Utah company, and that's why we invite them here. CF Olson Homes, and your website one more time, Chris, is?
cfolsonhomes.com.
Couple last questions for you.
Okay.
Mr. Senator?
No interest in being a senator.
Mr. Anything or just Mr. Dad?
Yeah.
Wait, we got 7 more months to go here.
Yeah, there's plenty of time. And actually, I'll go through the end of the year. It's the 2nd of January or 4th of January or something like that. So there's a lot to do, and we're very focused still on getting things done here. But I don't know what I'm going to be moving to. I don't anticipate that will be another political position. I anticipate that I'll be going into the private sector, but I haven't put virtually any thought into it at all. I've spent my energies here working, and we'll need to, obviously, over the next several months, start looking to where I'll go next.
And I know your wife was very happy this morning.
She was. Yeah.
And she has 8 months to go, but still, she had a smile on her face.
Yeah. It's hard on a family. This is not an easy
for a myriad
job.
of reasons you would never even imagine happening in your family. You've had to deal with in yours.
Yeah, things that can be very, very challenging, and she's been a trooper, and has hardly ever complained about it, and I love my wife immensely, and she's given a lot to this community.
Well, Mayor, it was a day that I bet yesterday, or before you told me that you weren't going to do it, I probably would have bet that you probably would have, and others that I talked to were betting the same way. But either way, it's for you, and you think it's what's best for you. And as Ogden moves forward, there are some qualified candidates already in a pool.
There are some good people running, which we're really excited to see. It's good to have capable, qualified people jumping into the race, and you hear rumblings of some others that might be getting in that I think are also very capable people. So, I feel very confident that things will be great for Ogden.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Thanks for your time again. Another Inside Ogden in the books. Chris Olson and CF Olson Homes, thanks very much for joining us. It's been a pleasure to meet you and get to know a little bit more about your business. That'll do it for this edition of Inside Ogden. Thanks very much for joining us. Until next time, have a very pleasant good evening.